on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
KXVS, The Voice of Stockton Live. The Voice of Stockton at Stone Soup Studio. KXVS.org.
Thank you, Joey, for starting the show on the Monday, KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, the special edition of the Vigil show, and my guest is even my co-host, and now it's my guest is Connie ODea.
He almost forgot who I am.
Connie ODea, right? I have a slight little.
That's
okay.
Okay.
But anyway, she's going to be talking about Stockton history. And she's been here. She's a Stocktonian. And also I have my helper, Jennifer Gass. She also going to be helping me with the question. I would do, at this moment, I'm going to take my hand for my arm a little rest right now from yesterday. From my arm, it's kind of tight, and clammy from sign language from yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be resting up a little bit. But anyway, I just saw. I just printed out a statement from Facebook, which kind of really make a big statement of what I'm really caused and what the disabled population have been fighting for ADA compliant, ADA right, and our ADA opportunity. Everything have to be involved. So just because people who are disabled doesn't mean that you are not. People who are normal, that don't have handicap and might have a chronic illness, a little bit of chronic, but yet still not considered as disabled. You are disabled in some way, because you never know what's going to happen in your future, what's going to happen in your life, and things like that. You could get hit in a car accident. You could, somebody will will shoot you and leave you paralyzed. It could be anything could happen. I don't take my advocacy into vain, because it's not, and I want to show this to you, a statement. It's called, right, I'm going to read it up, put it up right here.
Why don't you go ahead and read it then?
Okay. The disabled population is a world of large minority of which anyone can become part of it at any time.
That's right.
So I don't know if it is true, but to me it's true. We don't know what's going to happen to our life, our daily life. You could become diabetic. It could be a stroke. It could be any illness that we go upon. Somebody we might accidentally take CPP or whatever and become an addict. Mental health become involved. Mental, emotional issue, physical issue, chronic issue. So I just want to make it important that in every step of government, organization are aware of those things, because those are things that we need to accommodate and make an opportunity and make it more accessible, and not treating us like second-class citizens, because it's very important. People in our family try to protect us, are alive. We know that we've been through that, right, Jennifer and I? And I bet our family.
I too have a disability.
Yeah.
Two different types of disabilities.
So basically, we get protected many times from our family and through our friends that, to fight for us. But but this is a statement for that I've been trying to do it every Sunday and Monday in Stockton and San Joaquin County, to recognize that disabled can be any time in the future. So at this point, I want to kick it over to Connie and tell me what it's like to be a Stocktonian, and then because Connie is the one that got me into going around and like a tour guide of all the history of Stockton. So tell me You're welcome.
Well, you and I have talked a lot about different things in Stockton. My family's been here since 1945. And when my family came here, they had come out here from Colorado. And at that time, there was like 85,000 people only here in Stockton. And my father and mother and my grandfather and my uncle all went to work at the naval base at Rough and Ready Island, which now is part of the Port of Stockton. But at one time during the 50s and 60s and 70s, the Rough and Ready Island had 2 different naval commands. There were 5,000 military out there, and it was the Pacific Fleet Communication Center, which since has been moved up, I believe, to Bremerton, Washington. And both my parents retired after 27 years working there.
Wow.
And going way back, before there was a bridge and a road to go around to the Rough and Ready Island and to the Port of Stockton, which we have here in Stockton right now, the employees who lived on the north side of the deep channel that comes into the Port of Stockton, all of those workers had to take a ferry to work across, and the ferry took them across the channel to the naval base, and then they got off the ferry and went to their different departments, and when the work was over, they got back on the ferry and came back across the channel and got in their cars and went home. So that was a long time ago, and there were lots and lots of military here in Stockton, and the naval base was quite a proud place here for Stockton.
Really?
Yes, it was.
So what changed the naval base from moving to Oakland, which it is
Well, we did have mothballed ships here. There was 2 or 3 abreast, and about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 sets of 3 ships on down the Deepwater Channel. I remember that, and they were mothballed here. They have.
What is a mothball?
That means that they were stored here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, they were stored here on our Deepwater Channel here in Stockton. But those ships were taken to Vallejo and to be totally dismantled. They were totally taken apart, and all the metal and everything, and I believe it was all melted down, probably going into other ships. This was after World War II, of course. And so they finally got them out of our Deepwater Channel. And then the naval base, what happened was, like I said, it had been the Pacific Communication Center for all the Pacific Ocean and all the naval bases that were on the Pacific coast, Hawaii, and so forth. And that moved up to Bremerton, Washington, I believe it was. And slowly the naval base started to get smaller and smaller. And I know my father retired after 27 years, and it was still going full-blown because my mother worked another year or 2, and then she retired. And through the years, I really grew up around the naval base. We have...
so what part of the naval base, you said something about Rough Island, right there, or right across by Weber Point?
Okay, right across from Weber's Point.
Okay.
All right. That's called Rough and Ready Island.
Okay.
And that's where the naval base was. Okay. Now it belongs to the Port of Stockton.
Okay.
Okay? And I remember...
Hold on. So when you go to the I'm sorry.
Okay.
So when you say a Port of Stockton, who are they? Are they government? Are they city or what?
Our Deepwater Channel here in Stockton is one of the deepest channels, and we have ships that come in, cargo ships from all over the world come here to Stockton, to our port of Stockton, and the ships will bring in goods and they take out goods. Okay, we get ships from all over the world, So our Port of Stockton is very, very important to all of us here. It's a great place for employment. It brings a lot of economy here. And it is one of the ports that has the deepest deep water channel. Inland deep water channel.
Got it.
So it's a very important port.
Yeah.
It really is, and it has grown and grown and grown over the years. And but when I have been out to the port and I go over to the area where it used to be the naval base, they still have a Quonset hut that is a building that is tin, and it's like a half circle, and that was they had a lot of those during World War II, and that's where a bowling alley was. And now the officer's house, the commander's house, which my father helped to build and keep restored because he was a carpenter. He was in charge of the manager of all the carpenters, janitors, plumbers, and he helped build that house and keep it up. And now the house is restored and is used by Chamber of Commerce and other organizations for fundraisers and different kind of functions. And it's really nice to see that that's still there.
Wow.
And that's part of the original naval base.
So your dad actually built that house. What they have a name on it called Weber?
You know what? It's the officer's house. I don't know what they call it now. I'd have to ask
They
the
call
chamber.
it the captain's house.
Captain's house?
I think I've been out there for
Yeah.
a Chamber of Commerce event a couple
Yeah.
times. It's really nice.
Oh, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
really? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Wow. So they have somebody who built it, named by recognition, or who?
Oh no,
No, okay.
not the recognition. But my dad, he talks about it all the time. And one of the men that worked for him was the one who built the stairway. They have a beautiful staircase in the house to the second floor, and this man built it. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And my father was the supervisor, and so I had a lot of history from there, and went to a lot of dances out there when I was in my later teens, because the younger sailors would invite us to come out to the enlisted men's club, and we would go dancing and just had a wonderful time.
Well, that's
Tell me a
good.
little bit about my
The good
secret.
old days
The good old days.
So
Happy Day.
What did you do for fun in Stockton when you were young?
Oh gosh. Oh. How young do you want me to tell you about?
Well,
When I was a teenager or
Yeah,
younger?
teenagers. I mean, you didn't have the mall and
No.
Sky Zone and all these things we have here now.
we didn't.
right.
So,
Actually, in 1950, my father built a house in North Stockton. And it's in the Lincoln Unified School District. And I had gone to Madison Elementary School, which now is Stockton Unified Administration Office. On Madison, I did half of my first grade there. And that's when we moved into Colonial Heights on Valencia Street. My father built that house with the help of his father and his brother and his brother-in-law.
So Stockton was like a rural area. So it's
Well,
it's like
the town of Stockton itself was very small still. There was only 85,000 people here.
okay.
And the main part of town was Main Street and going south to Hazelton. And Wilson Way here in Stockton was a very popular street. Had a lot of great businesses on it and great restaurants. And I remember one Christmas we went there. It was raining, and I had my rain boots on and a yellow raincoat on, and going to look for Christmas trees.
Oh, wow.
That's when they were like 10 cents a foot.
oh, wow.
I remember. I remember one Christmas my dad said, "Can you believe they've raised the price to 25 cents a foot?"
Oh, my.
Oh my gosh! Now, how much did Christmas trees cost? It was like 5 feet, 6 feet.
About 50 or
$100.
$35 or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah, terrible. But outside of Stockton, where we now have University of Pacific, and going north over the bridge that's right by, goes over the McCalmay River? What river is that? What river is that?
Oh, I don't know.
Calaveras River. That's right.
Thank you,
Jennifer. It's Calaveras River. There was, right now we have 4 lanes going north and 4 lanes going south. Well, back in those days, in the 50s, there was 2 lanes. One going north, one going south. 2 lanes.
Wow.
Where Delta College is right now was the part of the state hospital.
Oh, really?
It was a farm, and the state hospital patients actually did all the farming there. There were cows and there was vegetables, and they produced food for the state hospital that used to be on California Street.
What year was that when that became a state?
Well, we're talking about the late 40s, early 50s.
Okay, that's pretty while ago.
I remember driving with my dad and going down Pacific Avenue and seeing patients out there on the grounds of the state hospital. They all had white jackets and white pants. And it took me a long time, I can remember when I was very young, to understand it was a state hospital. And it was part of the state hospital that was on California Street.
Right.
Actually, in my days when I started in the 70s, I started studying law enforcement. Before I went to work for the California Youth Authority, I actually was a peace officer in training for the state of California there at the state hospital.
Really?
Oh, yes. Yes. A lot of stories there.
I bet.
A lot of stories. But in those days of the 50s, living out in Colonial Heights and living in the Lincoln School District, Stagg High was being built pretty soon. We had Edison High. Franklin High I don't think was built yet. And as kids, gosh, we used to ride bicycles all over, and a lot of houses were being built out there in Colonial Heights and Lincoln Village, and we used to go into the houses as they were being built, and we'd get up on the rafters and walk around the houses and everything. But we had a bus that came from downtown Stockton and a few blocks away from my house, and as kids we would take the bus, 10 cents one way, and we'd come into town and we'd go to the show or we'd go shopping. And my next door neighbor, her father was manager of the Newberry store. And the Newberry store no longer is Newberry's, but it still has the Newberry sign on there. Big changes.
Where's that at?
That's on Weber Street.
So I don't know if you noticed that I put a Facebook. I think you mentioned something about there was a trolley that on the 70.
Oh,
how far
that
did
was
it
before
go?
my time.
It was.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but it did. But they I don't know if they changed it. When,
Oh, yeah. Well,
they
as
had
time.
a track.
Yeah,
like that.
there was a track right down. I don't know.
70.
I think it was what street? Did
It
you
was
say?
on Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a track. They had a railroad cars or these trolley cars like you see in San Francisco. We did have those in Stockton.
Wow, I can imagine. See, I always thought of something when I came to Stockton. It reminded me San Francisco a little bit. I was like, well, in Oakland because it had the port. It had it had what do you call it, the buses that there. But when they started having history, it's everything kind of changed away from all those things. So the history comes about.
Well, the city has changed a lot now. Downtown Main Street. Oh boy, that was the fun place. We had 4 theaters there, and it was the drag strip. All the teenagers on Friday night and Saturday night, we would be dragging down Main Street, and that's where you went to the movies. And did they have like a drive-in movie?
Oh
yes, we had drive-in movies.
Oh,
there was one. Now we still have the 99 Speedway where they have car races, and right next to the 99 Speedway was the 99 Drive-In. And boy, I'll tell you, when it was race night and we were at the drive-in theater, all you could hear is race cars. And you try to be listening to the movie. couldn't hear a thing hardly at all.
Oh, wow.
Good planning.
And you know the stories about teenagers putting people in the trunk and going into the drive-in? Hey, you know what? That's true. That's true. I was one of those. Yep. We did that.
You know, it's kind of weird that it's kind of weird that history repeats itself sometimes because when I remember my sister was the same way too. Had a drive-in movie in San Leandro. They had a drive-in and we used to sneak in. They used to sneak in the trunk.
Yeah.
But they didn't let them go. They didn't let them out until like maybe 20 minutes after got in. So it was pretty interesting how they sneaked stuff. Because it was like $5. A ticket to go in per car, you know. So that's kind of interesting.
And then we also had one on West Lane, where now we have a strip malls there and Costco's there and everything. But there was West Lane Drive-In Theater there, and down on Main Street we had the Ritz Theater and the Esquire Theater, and we had the California Theater, which is now called the Bob Hope Theater. But I will never call it that. It is the California Theater.
So why do they call it a Bob Hope? Did Bob Hope came by?
Well, I don't know. I think Mr. Spanos had something to do with that.
Okay.
And it has been restored inside. It was a beautiful theater. In the 1800s, it had been like an opera house. And it was gorgeous. And it was gorgeous in the 50s, too, and 60s. I remember that the carpets were red, and the carpet on the steps to go to the balcony, that they were red, beautiful, and everything was gold filigreed. And the women's bathroom, I don't know what the men's bathroom looked like, but the women's bathroom was beautiful. You had this beautiful room you walk into, and a beautiful counter with these red velvet chairs, and everything was gold filigreed like, and you could sit down and do your hair and change your makeup or whatever, and then the bathroom was very nice, and it was very elegant. And then I want to share this with you. My aunt, my father's sister, she was one of two of the last usherettes. All the theaters had ushers, and my aunt worked there at the California Theater, and her girlfriend worked there too. Okay,
so when you say theater, are you talking about theatrical theater, or are you talking about movie theater?
Movie theater.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes. After the California changed from a opera house, it became a movie theater when movies came out. And to sit in the balcony, which was the most grandest thing for everybody, it cost a little bit more. Same at the Stockton Theater that's on the Miracle Mile that turned into a coffee house, which is now closed. That was a magnificent theater too, and the bathroom was similar with velvet and beautiful, beautiful. And to be in the balcony, you had to pay extra. Well, my cousins, my cousins Sandra and Marcia, they were my Aunt Gloria's, who was the usherette. They were her daughters. And we were just a few years apart. And we'd go to the movies, and we'd try to sneak into the balcony.
Oh, wow.
I want to tell you, my aunt caught us every time. And did we ever get the dickens? Oh, my goodness. We did. We got in a lot of trouble. It was fun. But the usherettes and ushers would actually walk you with a flashlight down to your seat, because the theater was not lit up like it is now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very, very dark inside. But she and her girlfriend were the last usherettes here in Stockton at the Fox Theater.
Cool.
And that was before the Fox Theater actually closed. Because what happened was everything went out north Stockton. But downtown, we used to have a fantastic store. Maybe some of you will remember, was Bruner's. Big, beautiful furniture store. And every year, they were right on a corner. And they had a corner glass windows. And every year at Christmas, they would put animated Christmas decorations, Christmas scenes. And we couldn't wait. We just couldn't wait to see what this new year was going to bring for Christmas. Well, then we had Cat and Marengo's, which was a very beautiful store for women's clothing. And Smith and Lang's, that was another store. David Livingston was the most expensive store. It was right next to the Fox Theater. We had See's Candy Store downtown, lots of other stores. Everything happened downtown on Main Street. And that was where everybody hung out on Friday nights. But then we did have a couple of drive-ins. There was Dick's Drive-In, which was on the corner of Wilson Way and Harding. I think there now is a mini market and liquor store there. And then on the Miracle Mile, right across the street from Sam's, if some of you know where that restaurant is at the beginning of the Miracle Mile, is I believe it's Domino's Pizza Parlor.
Okay.
There used to be the Miracle Mile drive-in, and you would drive in and you had, the cars had speakers there right by them, and the waitresses would come out and take your order, and they were on roller skates. And but that's where all the college kids went, and the college kids that had, or the high school kids who had their mother and father's Cadillacs and Lincolns and stuff like that. And
was there UOP there?
Oh yeah,
University
UOP
there
was
back
there.
then?
Oh yes.
So okay, so I noticed that, like you said, some of the See's Candy and other places had kind of went out to north, south, whatever, but somehow the Miracle might have kind of had no substance. It's good, but not enough.
Well, we have so many stores that go in and out all the time.
Right.
But it's getting.
What's your opinion?
If there would be a good group of people who could fix it, like some of the other little cities that have.
Mama, Papa.
Yeah, but have a street like we have here on the Miracle Mile. That's a special street.
It is.
And.
I like the way they call Miracle Mile, because it reminds me of the movie called Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful
It kind of like everything is Miracle Mile, so it kind of have a symbolic when you go there, and hopefully things in your life will change around that area of Miracle Mile, you know?
Well, things really changed. One of the things over by where you live, Doug, I took you to over by Lewis Park here in Stockton, California. The last street before you go to Lewis Park is called Kingsley. It meets up with Mount Diablo. And on the corner was my aunt's house, my Aunt Gloria's, until she moved out into Colonial Heights. And down that Kingsley Street, at the end of the street, you come to a channel, part of the Delta, one of the Delta channels. But across from the Delta there, if you were to turn right, there now is a beautiful, beautiful Buddhist temple there. But in the 50s and 40s and after World War II, there was housing, I believe had been a military housing. And they
not a military base?
For the naval base, yeah,
Gotcha,
military
okay.
housing. And they had turned these into one-bedroom apartments. And my mother got one, and when my father got out of the Army, he came home to us here, and his mother and father lived here, and my aunt and uncle lived here, and that was his sister, and his brother lived here. And we all moved out to Colonial Heights. But what was I saying there?
The Buddha temple, when she took me there.
That was called Riverview.
Riverview,
And that's where these houses were, where I grew up,
Yeah.
till I was about almost 6 years old. That's when we moved out to Colonial Heights. And I continued my first grade. In fact, the first graduating class for Lincoln High School that had students from first grade all the way through high school and graduated was my class.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
My class of, I'm not going to tell you what year it was.
But
We had 129 students, and we just celebrated our 55th anniversary.
So,
Class
did you
reunion.
graduate from what, Edison or
No,
Chavez?
Lincoln High School.
Oh, Lincoln High
Yes.
School, okay.
And see, we had Lincoln High School then, and this was 1962. We had Franklin High School, Edison High School, Stagg High School, and prior to Lincoln and Stagg, there was Stockton High, which had become an elementary school, and some students from Lincoln area was taking classrooms where the Delta College used to be, the old campus of Delta College. And pretty soon we had all the different high schools in the different areas, so everybody went to their high schools.
Right.
So that was exciting.
That's too bad that we don't have a Stockton High School in the Stockton city. Every city that I have been, they always have some school that represent a city name. So,
Right.
I mean, it's like San Andreas High, San Francisco High School, Oakland High. So
Well, it
everything that
used to be
represent-
Stockton High School.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
But then when
kinda-
they
we need to bring
built,
it back then, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to refine Stockton High then. But there's a lot of. But I remember went to the Buddha Temple and it had a lot of razor sharp. I mean, they're pretty protected, like anybody.
well, one thing that's happened in Stockton since the early 50s, when us kids used to leave the house early in the morning and we'd come back for dinner or we'd come back for lunch and we'd be out playing, riding our bicycles. I remember even on Halloween, we'd go from Colonial Heights clear through Lincoln Village and back again and then go to Park Woods with candy bags and back home
That's pretty
again.
far.
And we just, there was no fear
Right.
of being shot on the streets or gangs or anything like that. And what I have seen, especially since I spent quite a few years working with, in the first drug program here in Stockton, was called Opportunity House in 1970. And then working for the California Youth Authority and doing a lot of work with the police department, sheriff's department. And I did some internship with the juvenile probation department. But I've seen the crime just become rampant here in Stockton. We never had that before. We never used to have to lock our doors.
Yeah.
And I mean, us kids could just go and have fun. Now you can't let your child out in the front yard. They could be kidnapped or they drive-by shootings and seniors being attacked. I mean, where does this come from?
Right.
And now we have MS-13 gangs here in Stockton. Yep, we do. And this is terrible. Stockton has become a city of a lot of crime, and a lot of businesses won't come here because of the crime and the high cost of living. It used to not be that way.
Well, right now, I believe that right now, U.S. did America become a military service military. I mean, as far as serving, like, we don't have no industrial company that produce iron or like metal, sheet metal, things like that.
Well, you know,
Everything-
we have a small building way out south that actually produces some of the powder, like gunpowder, for the astronauts.
No, it did not.
For the spaceships.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I was working for a company and I was an employment specialist, and I went out to look for jobs for people who we were training, and I discovered that place, and you wouldn't even think that it was such a place, but they create the powder, like gunpowder for the spaceships to go into space.
Wow.
Yeah, there is a lot of industry here.
Yeah, but small, but not not enough.
Not huge like we used to have. Tilly Lewis.
Who's that?
Tilly Lewis had a tomato company. My cousin, she was the first cousin. She was Tilly Lewis's assistant until Tilly Lewis passed away. And that was a big company here, very big company. And there still is a tomato company that's out off of Wilson Way that does still have a lot of employees. Yeah. But we need more industry here in Stockton. And we do have a wonderful city council, and we have a chamber of commerce. And I think that they're really doing a lot of good for Stockton. And now we've got a ballpark, and we've got the arena. I mean, look at part of downtown there on the waterfront. What a beautiful, beautiful place. And so I'm really proud of that aspect.
Yeah,
But we do need to do a lot in cleaning up the town with the crime and a lot of our homeless people, and we got a lot of veterans that live here in Stockton, and we do have a wonderful VFW, and two actually, and we have American Legion that do a lot, And gosh, we had the Vietnam moving wall here at the end of June and July, and us Lions. And hey, we're all Lions here today. And you see our vests, we belong to the Stockton San Joaquin Lions. I'm president. Jennifer is our past president, and Doug is our marketing specialist. Yeah. And so we're very proud to all be here as Lions and working and serving our community too.
Part of the history of Stockton.
Yes. But hey, I want to thank you for letting me come and talk to you. You always ask me questions about Stockton when I was younger and what we did here. But the main thing that kids did is drag Main Street. And then later on, it became Pacific Avenue, the Miracle Mile.
Yeah.
They started dragging.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
Late 70s, 80s, something like that. Yeah.
Earlier today, you dropped me off at the Parkwood Shopping Center, and you told me there was a barn where David's Pizza now is, and what you guys used to do there.
Yes, it was. Well, actually, my home was just almost across the street. Hammer Lane ended there where Parkwood Shopping Center is, Hammer and Alexandria, and where the shopping center is. It used to be a cow farm, cow ranch, I guess you would call it. And where the shopping center is, there was a huge barn. And us kids, we would climb through the barbed wire fences, and we would run and get away from the cows, because sometimes we got chased by bulls sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And we'd go into the barn and we would play in the haystacks. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. But we had safety then too. We could go away from the house and we could go play. And we didn't have computers. We didn't have all these games and these telephones, and we were creative. One of the most creative thing I did, my dad, being a carpenter, had a sawhorse. Now, some of you who are carpenters out there, you know what a sawhorse is. Yeah. And it's what you put your wood on to saw it. And I would put a blanket on it, and I'd put my cowgirl outfit on with my hat and vest and skirt and cowboy boots and my pretend pistols and belt.
Cowgirl.
And I would put a rope around the end of that sawhorse, and I would ride miles, absolute miles, on my pretend horse.
Aww.
And my friends and I, we used to put plays on for our families. Wow. I mean, we were creative. And all we have is radios. Actually, my family was the first one out of all of my relatives that got a TV. And my father, who is 97 this December, World War II veteran, I'm very blessed to still have him. He still has that 1950, I think it was 1950 when they bought the TV when we moved into our house. And they still have it. It was a combination television, a radio, and record player, solid mahogany.
Wow.
Yeah. So we still have that. A lot of memories.
That is wonderful. It's something else. I know. I'm sure you got a lot more. We're going to get closed out right now.
You have to have me come back.
We could talk back about more history to come. I do believe you got more to talk about, and we should write down things that we're there. I really enjoy Connie. When Connie would talk, every time we hang out, she talk about. I learned a lot from her, from history, from Stocktonian, and just hearing her. Because we need to have respect our elderly. Our elderly is the one that know their life they've been through, and they know what's going on sometimes. And sometimes life repeats itself. Right. And those who born and don't never know what happened from the past, and continue history.
What you're saying, you're learning
you're
from the past.
You're doomed to repeat it if you don't learn from it.
Right. Yeah. So I basically want to thank Connie and Jennifer Gadd for coming to my show. I'm thankful for and also the line out there watching us, and thank you so much. I'm really excited that Connie the line had this We Serve. And definitely she's going to be a wonderful host, and I hope Jennifer will be helping her as well as being a co-host, and much I can to learn about Lions. Because Lions, to me, when I got involved, it got me active. It got me really involved with being part of the community. And when I got in their club, I was more welcome. These two are the one that really welcomed me back into the club, and really encouraged me to, Doug, you're important. You're no less than other people are. So thank you so much for making me feel welcome.
You have so much to contribute,
yes,
Doug.
You do.
We're so glad you're with us.
And we love you.
Yep,
we
love you.
So thank you, everyone, for watching the special edition of the Vigil show, and thank everyone for watching at this moment today, and enjoy your afternoon at KXVS, the voice of Stockton. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
KXVS on 92.1. Coming soon.
Hi everyone, this is Dr.